I'm going to be talking about meaning. Meaning. It's really the holy grail of life, isn't it? We're all looking for meaning. Some people find meaning in their lives, others don't. They keep looking. We're all looking for it. And like most people, I've spent the past several years looking for meaning in my life and trying to ask myself the existential questions that we all ask ourselves at different times in our life, like, what is the meaning of life? And what is the purpose of all of this? And more importantly, how can I as an individual lead a fulfilling and meaningful life? And I don't have the answers yet, but I'm here to share with you the story about my pursuit of meaning. Growing up was very easy. As a child, I didn't think about, and I'm sure you guys didn't think about any of these big words like meaning and purpose and existence and God knows what. It was easy. For me, my life was very simple. It was all about just being really good at whatever I did and making my parents happy. That was the purpose of my life, because I want to do things that make my parents proud and happy and my friends proud and jealous of me, and like that means I'm cool and I'm good, right? So I studied really hard and did well at school, and my parents were proud of me and my friends were jealous of me. And I loved to dance, Bollywood dance, and Indian classical dance when I was a child, and I worked really hard to be a good dancer, and I was a good dancer, and everyone was proud of me, and I would debate and do all these things, and it was simple. Life was easy, and I felt like I had a purpose. Purpose was to achieve, succeed, do well, compete, win, make my parents proud, my friends jealous, and I did all of that, and I was accepted at a good college, and life was good and easy. And after college, a natural next step was to take up a job. Whatever was considered the most prestigious job is what I would do, because that's what the goal is, right? Like, you just kind of take up difficult things and then you just do them, and then everyone's like, whoa, like, she's really good. And then everyone has. And then I went on to work in consulting, which was what I thought was considered the most prestigious job on campus. And I worked in consulting, I worked at McKinsey for a few years, and until then life was easy, and then it all just became complicated. I started thinking about all these difficult things. And I think it was at McKinsey that I really started thinking about meaning. And I started asking myself, what's next? And I looked at, the partners at the firm, which is what I would become if I were to go down that career path. And they were really great and smart and successful. But somehow I looked at them and my instinct was, is this it? Like, is this going to be the culmination of my entire life? Like, growing up, I worked so hard. Is this the end goal? Like, this is all that everything is for? And it just didn't feel right. Like, I just wasn't inspired. Like, I would look at them and I would work with them on a daily basis, and it wasn't inspiring for me. And that's not what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I really started thinking about things like meaning. And I realized that I've lived my life so far with the purpose of external validation, right? So making other people proud of me and happy and jealous and whatnot, right? And that external validation made me feel important and successful, and that's kind of how I'd taken every step and decision in my life. And I decided to, for the first time, make a conscious decision and do something that I thought was important and meaningful for me. And so I started thinking a lot about how does one find meaning? And I watched a lot of TED Talks and read a lot of books and spoke to a lot of people who I thought were, doing cool things. And it seemed like a common theme that came back to me was meaning. Really, a lot of people meaning lies in making a difference in the world. That's what I gathered, and my tiny brain could understand from all these conversations, that my goal should be to make a difference in the world. And so I started thinking a lot about, what can I do to make the maximum amount of difference in this world so I can lead the most fulfilling life possible? And so I thought of working in health or education, and I ended up taking a job with the Clinton Foundation working in HIV in Africa, because there could not be a better way to make make more of a difference in the world, according to me. And so I said, okay, so I'm like literally going to try and save lives, because surely like that's got to be the most fulfilling thing I can do. And so I took up this job, and it was actually a really, really cool job. I spent half of my time almost traveling to sub-Saharan African countries and spending a substantial amount of time there working with the governments and really understanding how the epidemic spreads and how the governments are tackling it and how I can be of help. And I did a lot of the analytics and modeling and strategy for the governments as they were rolling out different programs. And there were a few cases where like my work actually led to a policy decision being made in a country because of which like some HIV positive people actually were put on treatment when they were not previously put on treatment, which was cool. Like I made a difference to those people's lives, and it felt really good. I was also traveling to all these cool places, and everyone was really jealous of my life because everyone was like, you have figured it out. Like, you're making a difference, you're working in HIV, you're like saving lives, literally. You're traveling to all these places that we only see on Lonely Planet. And like, I had it figured out. And I was meeting all these important people. I met Bill Gates and ministers of health of all these different countries. At our holiday party, I met former President Bill Clinton, and I shook his hand, and I got a picture taken with him, and it was on my Facebook profile picture the next day, and I got 200 likes, and it was awesome. And yeah, like, life is perfect, right? But problem is, I wasn't really finding it meaningful. And I almost felt like I was lying because the rest of the world, everyone that I worked with and interacted with, felt like I had this really, really meaningful job where I was making a difference and traveling and, you know, getting pictures with important people, because that's what you think it's supposed to be like when you have made it. And everyone felt that way, but I didn't inside me. Like, I didn't really find meaning in my job. It was a job. It was like my job at McKinsey. And yeah, there were days when that policy change did happen, and it felt really good, and I felt really happy. But other than that, it was a job. I did not wake up in the morning inspired, and I did not wake up in the morning all excited, and just none of those things that I thought would happen when I had that meaningful job, or my like mental model of what a meaningful life looked like, none of that happened. And I was just really, really confused and frankly disappointed. I was lost and confused because I was like, if this is not meaningful, then what can be meaningful? And I got really disappointed and sad because I started thinking that maybe I'm just one of those people that's not destined to live a meaningful life. Like, I'm going to be a normal person. I'm not going to be one of those people that find this passion and then just like change the world and make a dent in the universe in any way. Like, I'm not, because I'm not finding meaning in this. And yeah, and I think for the next several months, maybe a year or two, I was in the job, but I was really confused and lost and just didn't know what to do next and how to find meaning. And I was living in New York at the time, and I started taking a dance class again to cheer myself up, and it was a Bollywood dance class. And I also started taking this Indian classical Kathak class, and it was amazing. And I started dancing again, and quite honestly, like, the happiness and joy that just dancing brought to me was so much more than the joy that I'd experienced on any single day of work. And I started dancing again, and it was amazing. And the happiness and the joy that I felt in the studio when there were the mirrors, and there was me and there were a few other dancers, people I was dancing with, and we were just dancing. And just, there was the music, and you just let go, and you just close your eyes, and you just dance, and you just move your body. And that instant and that moment was where I found so much more meaning than I had in those travels and in my job. And I was very confused because on one hand I was really happy because dance just made me so happy. But that also made me think about meaning in a completely different way, and it's something that I'm still kind of trying to understand. But my view of how I define meaning has shifted in many ways because of that experience. Because maybe my job and what I do professionally with my life is not supposed to be the only source of meaning in my life. My work does not have to be the number one thing that is the sole provider of fulfillment and happiness and fulfillment and meaning in my life. It doesn't. It probably will not be. I don't know. Maybe it will. I don't know. We'll see. But dance does. For me, it does, and that's why you see me dancing at all C functions, because it just makes me so happy. And when I came to school, and I've been trying to think a lot about what I want to do next. So professionally, like that sort of phase has ended, and now what do I want to do next? And I'm trying to think a lot about what do I want to do professionally. And I've been trying to do a lot of reflection to think about what makes me happy and what do I find fulfilling. And it's more than anything, it's two things that come to my mind. It's one is just dance, and second is hanging out with my husband in a small town called Homer in Alaska, where we were just kayaking in the bay, just us and the mountains and the water and the birds, and it's amazing. And that like day of kayaking and those moments of dance are the only things that are like etched in my memory so deeply, and the only two things that give me this joy that none of my work experience has ever given me. And I know that no matter what I do with my life next, and I really, really still hope to create a career path for myself where I do find meaning and I do make a difference in this world, I'm not letting go of these things that I've already discovered that do give me this joy that I was constantly seeking outside. So that's my story about my pursuit of meaning and the places where I have found that, and how my view has shifted from work alone providing me every single meaning in my life to something that's more balanced. And I don't know, we'll see where this takes me, but I'm happy as of now. It's good.